Hi, this is Gary. Welcome to today's video. So today it's the first of a two-parter. We're going to be unboxing a delivery from DeskBandit here in Western Australia. Here's the box. It's a nice big box. Just look at the size of this beauty. This is why we're doing it as a two-parter. In here there should be a number of inks and a couple of pens. So in part one we're going to take a look at the inks, and part two, that's where we'll look at the pens. So join me now down on the mat and let's take a look at the inks in here. We'll swatch them up and then we'll take a closer look and just discuss them a little bit. So here we are down on the mat. I've already taken the opportunity to undo all the sticky tape. You don't really need to see me doing that because that's something we all know. The box, well, it's so big it won't fit in my camera, which is a bit of a shame. But anyway, let's go ahead and see what we can see. Opening up the lid. Hopefully I've got this the right way around. And that reveals this package here from DeskBandit. Let me just move that. Let's see if we can get a bit more central in the camera. So anyway, we've got this more central now. Let's take a look. Slice open the sticky. I love DeskBandit's packaging. I love this black tissue paper it comes in. It's really, really nice. As I open this, I'm going to try and get it so you can't actually see what the two pens are because they're going to be done in the next video. This one's purely about the inks, but unfortunately you may get a quick sneak preview of the pens. So it's really well packaged. And I'm going to pull these out. We've got some ink samples and the two pens are all that's left. I'm going to leave them hidden. So the first and most important thing is the Tim Tam. That goes to one side for the wife. Make sure we keep her happy. Then what have we got? We've got a whole load of ink samples that I ordered. They're in this bag. We'll take a look at each individual one in a second. Also in here, oh, and this is nice to see, some mini samples. So that's really nice. We'll take a quick look at those as well. So let me move the box out of the way. That's then going to be left for the next video when we unbox the actual pens. Okay, so here's that big bag of samples. Let's take a look. What have we got? So the first one here, Ancient Song, Wanderer's Song. So yeah, Ancient Song, that's a Chinese brand. I've never tried any of their inks before, but I've seen a few videos other people have done on them and they look quite interesting. So I thought I'd try out some of these. Next one we've got another Ancient Song, Son of the Whiteheaded. I mean, brilliant names, aren't they? What have we got next? Oh, Ancient Song, Sea View. Oh, nearly had one escape me then. Our next one, Robertoster Spearmint. So again, getting some Robertoster inks, which I really like. Now this ink, I only bought it because of the name. So Robertoster ink, Santa's Hangover. I know it's not Christmas, but I thought, let's get that now, and that might be useful when Christmas does come around. We've got another Robertoster ink, Torquay. When I lived in Melbourne, we used to go to Torquay over near Melbourne quite a lot. So that was quite nice when I saw that name. Robertoster Deep Sea. I'm hoping that's a beautiful green. Troublemaker. So Troublemaker inks, they're from the Philippines. Again, I've not tried any of their inks before, but I've had a lot of people comment on my videos saying give them a try because they're really nice. So I thought, well, let's give that a bash then. This one's called Sea Glass. By Colorverse Supernova. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know this is my favourite blue. I'm trying to find a blue from a different company that looks similar to this. I'm really struggling because they get near but not quite. Why I want to do that is the Colorverse inks, they're just so expensive over here in Australia. Troublemaker, Open Channel Blue. Like the sound of that. So again, I'm hoping this is like a sea type colour, but I'll know when I've swatched it. And then the last in that big bag, Ancient Song, Fisherman's Song, another brilliant sounding one. And look at that, you can already see there's gold in there, so looking forward to getting that one and see what that looks like in a pen. Then there was this free samples, mini samples just for you. It's one of the things I like about DeskBandit, you know, when they do send these little extra bits. So here we've got Robertoster Moss. I'll pop that over here. Aurora and Klinger, Helianthus. That looks like a real nice orangey colour, doesn't it? Or maybe it might be yellow. We'll know better when we swatch it. And then finally, Aurora and Klinger, Isatis Tinctoria. So I'm guessing that's a limited edition 2021. I like it when they include these ones because that gives me a chance to try out some more inks. One of the things I'm trying to expand is my ink collection and my ink selection, because when I do look at inks at the moment, I don't really have enough to do proper comparisons, and that's something I'd like to start being able to do, and hopefully we'll be able to do some comparisons when we're doing today's inks. With all that said, I've got these inks, so there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 of them there. I'm going to stop the camera. I'm going to go away and I'm going to swatch all of these inks because you don't need to see me swatching. You know, we all know how to do that. If you would like me to do a video showing how I do swatch some of my inks, please drop a comment down below, because if you don't tell me what you want me to do, I'll just keep doing what I am doing. And I want this really to be a channel where I'm answering your questions as well. So I'm going to go away. I'm going to swatch these. Then after they've had a chance to dry, I'm going to come back and we'll take a look at each individual swatch, and as I said, where I can, I want to now start giving some comparisons from my current collection. So I've been and swatched all the inks. It's time to take a look at them. So the first one here, this was the Robertoster Santa's Hangover. Just going to move it up slightly. This is a really nice red. I've got to be honest, when I looked at it initially I thought it looks a bit dull, but I've given it a bit of time to dry and really quite taken by this. Now what I'm doing now is I'm going to fetch in some inks that I already have, so some of them swatches. Now I don't have a very big ink collection at the moment, so this will be quite limited, but eventually I'm hoping that will grow. So the first comparison I'm going to fetch in is by Diamine, and that's Poppy Red. So definitely it's a brighter colour, but still to me it does remind me very much of this Santa's Hangover. Pop that to one side. The next one is a Pen BBS ink. This is number 370, Christmas Red. Again, why I brought this in, you know, it's a Christmas one, Santa's Hangover, sort of related. So I thought, yeah, I'd fetch this one in. Definitely a different shade of red. The Christmas Red, it's got more orange in it. And to be honest, for me, as a Christmas colour, I actually do prefer that Santa's Hangover. But let's see how we go. Next one is another Pen BBS ink. This is number 276, Chengdu City. Again, not really the same tones. I don't really have much with the same tone as this Santa's Hangover, so I'm just fetching these in just so we've got a comparison. Now, in this Chengdu City, I do see a bit of gold sheen coming through, and I don't see any sheen in the Santa's Hangover. Next one, it's a Robertoster ink. It's Rubine. So we're starting to get a little bit closer there. I still think this Rubine is a bit brighter. It's certainly got that more ruby tone to it. You know, this looks fairly dull. The Santa's Hangover really does look dull compared to it. But we're getting towards the right family. And it's another Robertoster ink anyway. Let's see where I can pop that so we can still see it. I'll pop it below. Then the final one I'm going to fetch in, Robertoster Royal Red. I thought I'd fetch this in. This is more brown than the Santa's Hangover, but again, I've got to be honest, it looks brighter to me. So that's Robertoster Royal Red. So that's the first ink. Let's get these out of the way. The next ink we're going to look at is the Wanderer's Song from Ancient Song. This looks so nice. I mean, it's darker in colour, and I don't know if it's coming over on the camera. I can just about see it now on the camera preview. Gorgeous gold sheen to it. I think this is going to look really nice in some of my broader pens. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. In terms of comparisons, well, I've got Diamine Oxblood. Yeah, I can see there, certainly in the darker sides, there's a lot of similarity. Even here where we've got a little bit of lightness, and the lightness here in the Wanderer's Song. So Diamine Oxblood is the first one I'm thinking about. The next one I've got is also Diamine, or Diamine, Red Dragon. So not quite the same darkness, but it's moving on towards that, especially when you look at the lighter part of this where I haven't put the ink on as much. You know, down here we can see it. There's a lot of similarities in the colour there. And then the other comparison I've got, Diamine Ancient Copper. Again, more so in the darker tones is where I'm seeing that similarity. Where it's lighter, the Ancient Copper is more of an orangey brown to me, as opposed to red. But certainly the darker shades, we're seeing a lot of similarity. So let's take that one out of the way. Okay, the next one, Robertoster Torquay. Gorgeous bright blue colour this, isn't it? Not got any sheen in or anything like that. But again, we can see some nice different colours. We've got the paleness here, and we've got that moving towards some of the darker colours. Really like this, but it's a sort of colour that I actually do like anyway. So a couple of inks we're going to look at against this. Diamine Aqua Lagoon. To me, the Aqua Lagoon is just ever so slightly darker, especially here in the light areas. You know, that is definitely in the Torquay, looks a lot lighter than here with the Aqua Lagoon. Where I've got the ink on thicker though, actually looks quite similar to me. So there's a good combination there and good match. Final one we're going to look at with this, it's another Diamine ink, Diamine Marine. So the Marine, it's got more of a greenish tinge as opposed to the blue of the Torquay. You know, even here where it's lighter, yes, it's very similar, but Marine is definitely, it's got that more greenish hue to it. But I think, you know, them two look quite nice with that Torquay. We've got a number of new inks now to look at. The first one is Colorverse Supernova. Then we've got Ancient Song Seaview and Ancient Song of the Whiteheaded. Let me just move all these up so we can hopefully get them all in camera. There we go. Now these to me look very similar. Yes, the Supernova, it's slightly darker, but I think it's in that same ink family, that same colour family. The Ancient Song, if we look at this, if I just tip, there we go. You can just see, certainly around here, a slight amount of like a silver sheen coming through. And I don't see that sheen here in the Colorverse Supernova. What I do see though, around the edges and along here, it's got a red sheen to it. So very, very hard to see, very slight sheen. So the Seaview got that slight silver. Then the Song of the Whiteheaded. Base colour-wise, I think it's virtually identical to Seaview. Might be slightly darker, but if it is, it's, to be honest, I struggle to see. But what you can have to look at that. Look at the silver sheen coming out of that one. I mean, that, yeah, it does look really silver there. I'm looking forward to getting this Song of the Whiteheaded into a pen where that sheen can really come out. I think that's going to look really nice. Colorverse Supernova, as I've said before, it's my favourite blue. I have had a sample before, but that ran out a while ago. I've just managed to get another sample now. Really do love that blue. So what am I going to compare this one against? Well, the first one, Diamine Royal Blue. This is a gorgeous looking colour. It's, to be honest, it's fast replacing that Supernova as my favourite blue. I've only had it in a couple of pens so far, so I need to get in another few to see how it behaves. No sheen at all, but it's a nice pale blue. Nearly, but not quite, catching up the paleness of some of these. Next one I've got is Noodlers Navajo Turquoise. To me, these are slightly bluer, although in the Song of the Whiteheaded, if we look at the pale parts, it does seem to have that turquoise colour. Same here on the Seaview. We've definitely got turquoise coming out in the paler parts on here. So that's why I picked that. With the Colorverse Supernova though, you know, that's a lot darker. Next one I've got is Robertoster Blue Water Ice. Again, not exactly the same shade, but very similar. So I can see here, if we look at the pale parts, this is where it's quite reminding me between the two. The last ink we're going to use to compare these is Van Diemen's Azure Kingfisher. The blue base, more towards a Colorverse Supernova, I think, than these other two. But look at the sheen on this. It's got this gorgeous gold sheen coming through. And that's really reminiscent, really, of that Song of the Whiteheaded. So, really nice ones there. Next, we've got Robertoster Deep Sea and Robertoster Spearmint and Troublemaker inks up on Channel Blue. So these are more on that tealy side for me. Certainly the Spearmint has got a lot more green coming through. I think really I've got them in the wrong order. That would be better, wouldn't it? I'm quite surprised how close in colour the Deep Sea and the Troublemaker one look when you look at the darker sides. But certainly there's a bit more blue that I can see in this up on Channel Blue. But they both do remind me of the sea. I put the Spearmint in here because it's got that same sort of darkness to it. Yes, it's not exactly the same shades, but I thought it was getting there. The main ink that I've got to go against these is Diamine Aurora Borealis. So again, another teal coloured ink. Really like this. This is one of my favourite teals. I've had this in a number of pens and it's performed really well in all of them. So it'd be interesting to see what these look like when I use them in the same pen. The other one I've picked out, it's not really exactly the same, is Robertoster Tranquility. So again, if we look here where we get into the darker bit, that starts to look a bit like the lighter areas of these. That's where I thought, well, we've got a little bit of a match. And again, the green here, when we look at the lighter part of the green in the Spearmint, to me, I can see a closer match there as well. Another two inks to look at. First one, Robertoster Moss, and I'm putting that with Troublemaker ink Seagrass. So some nice greeny shades coming through here. Of these two, I'm finding this is more of that darker green. This has got a little bit more vibrancy, but the pale areas I think are a lot paler than the pale areas in the Robertoster Moss. The ones I've picked to compare against with this is Colorverse Sea of Tranquility. Now unfortunately I've run out of this, so I wasn't able to do a better swatch, but certainly the green, it's getting towards that, especially where I've got a little bit more of the darker areas. The other one I've picked is Colorverse Able. I think that's a really good match for the Seagrass, although the Able slightly paler, less saturated to my eyes, but again it seems to be in that same family. Another two inks. The first one is Ancient Song Fisherman's Song, and I'm also going to fetch in the Aurora and Klinger Isatis Tinctoria. So with this Aurora and Klinger ink, I've really struggled to find anything that looks remotely like it in the other samples that I've got. It's got this gorgeous pale grey purple to me. You know, it's definitely trying to get to that purple, but there seems to be a lot of grey coming through. The Fisherman's Song, lovely grey colour. Not sure what pen I'm going to be able to put that in at the moment. There's a little tiny bit of sheen coming through. It's not in your face, but there's a little tiny bit there. So the only comparison I could find for either of these is this Lamy Benito white. I hope I've not mangled that pronunciation. This is definitely, it's a darker grey colour than either of these. I can see a little bit of purple in it, certainly not as much as in the Aurora and Klinger ink, but it seems to have that little hint of it. The Fisherman's Song, it's grey with hints of blue. Again, I can also see little tiny bits of blue coming through in the Lamy ink, but it's not really a close match, but it was the closest that I could find in the inks that I've currently got. And then our final ink, Aurora and Klinger Helianthus. Really lovely, bright, vibrant yellow colour here. Really like the look of this. The only ink, again, I've got which could be anywhere near it is Noodler Yellow. I would say the Helianthus, it's got a bit more orange to it, but certainly when you look at it by itself, it looks very yellow. When you put that Noodler in there, that orange starts to come out a bit. Again, I'm not sure what pen I can use this in. I've got a stub nib, which it might look alright in. And I've also got a couple of broad nibs, which it may be worth trying out. So not sure when I'll do that, but yeah, this is quite an interesting colour. So yellow's not really a colour I've really thought about using. So let's take a final look at all these inks. We've got Robertoster, Santa's Hangover, Ancient Song, Wanderer's Song, Robertoster Torquay, Colorverse Supernova, Ancient Song, Seaview, Ancient Song, Song of the Whiteheaded, Robertoster Spearmint, Troublemaker's Opon Channel Blue, Robertoster Deep Sea, and I'm now going to have to lay some of these on top of them, Troublemaker Seagrass, Robertoster Moss, Ancient Song, Fisherman's Song, Raw and Klinger Isatis Tinctoria, and Raw and Klinger Helianthus. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please hit that thumbs up button, give it a like. So what do you think about these inks? Don't them Ancient Song ones look nice? I'm really hoping that I can get to see all that sheen coming out when I'm writing with them. What are your thoughts on them though? Please drop a comment down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.